In our daily check-in from the road today, we're going to continue our look at the revival from 1857 and 1858. And we're going to look at the ramifications of that revival. You see, things began to ripple out from that original prayer meeting. But to understand that, though, let's go back to the revival that happened in 1904 in Wales. Remember, G. Campbell Morgan went down to check things out, see what was going on, and he has something to say about the ramifications, the ripple effects of revival. He says, the revival is more widespread than the fire zone. In this sense, you may understand that the fire zone is where the meetings are actually held and where you will feel the flame that burns. But even when you come out of it and go into the railway trains or into the shop, a bank, anywhere, men everywhere are talking of God. The revival that spread across the United States wasn't much different. It affected all kinds of people from different areas of society, different types of people, and different generations. And it began to spread down to Philadelphia. And one of the leaders of the revival in Philadelphia was a man named Dudley Ting. On March 30th of 1858, he was preaching at lunch to 5,000 people. And in response to his preaching, 1,000 people came and placed their faith in Jesus or dedicated their lives to the Lord. And in that meeting, he expressed his determination to share the gospel. And he said this, I must tell my master's errand, and I would rather that this right arm be amputated at the trunk than that I should come short of my duty to you in delivering God's message. The following week, while visiting a nearby farm, Dudley Ting was injured. His shirt sleeve got caught in a corn threshing machine, and his arm was all mangled, all messed up, and it nicked an artery. And so he's dying, and he's surrounded by a group of ministers as he passes. And he says to them, let us all stand up for Jesus. So at his funeral, a minister named George Duffield read a poem that he had penned for the funeral. And the poem became the motto for the Young Men's Christian Association, the YMCA. And we sing this poem today. You might recognize it. Stand up for Jesus, ye soldiers of the cross. Lift high his royal banner. It must not suffer loss. The YMCA began to play an important role in this revival that spread across the nation. You see, the YMCA was started in England in 1844, and it came to the United States in 1851. Now, it was organized to help men exercise, to help men through Bible study, through a place to stay and lodge at times, but it became more evangelistic during this revival. It began to organize prayer meetings and host evangelistic meetings like the one that Dudley Ting preached at. And it began also to work with other organizations like the Student Christian Association. And they began to host revivals and meetings on college campuses. They began to reach out to college students, and revivals began to break out on college campuses because of the work by people like the YMCA and the men that worked with them. And one historian reports, all told, as many as 90 college revivals swept through American campuses between 1857 and 1859. Those schools include Amherst, the University of California at Berkeley, Dartmouth, Davidson, Oberlin, the University of Pennsylvania, the University of Wisconsin, and Wake Forest. A revival started by businessmen who met on their lunch break to pray began to reach other types of men. Historians tell us that blue-collar men, along with the white-collar men, began to gather and pray for revival and pray for the Lord to work in their life. And then an organization created to minister to men began to minister to college students. And revival began to break out on college campuses. Do you see the ripple effects from this? And it's all links us back again to the revival of 1904, where the people in that revival, they clung to prophecy from Joel chapter 2, verse 13, where the prophet tells us, tear your hearts, not just your clothes, and return to the Lord. And then in verse 28, the prophet says, after this, I will pour out my spirit on all humanity. Then your sons and your daughters will prophesy, your old men will have dreams, and your young men will see visions. Prayer led to ministry. And that ministry led to more people coming to know Jesus in remarkable and amazing ways. Let us be a people who pray and minister. And let us be a people who tell other people about Jesus.